codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
All right, I won't do it. I won't say anything obnoxious when you're going on the air. I won't do it this time.
Thanks, Tony. Hello, captains, and welcome to the live recording of episode 458 of Priority 1. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I see a lot of people chatting with us in the live stream chat. What's up to Jamal, Ed, to Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Sano Skyrat, Jamal. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Jamal, 2-time shout out.
Oh, well. So,
hey, Jamal.
Well, I think Jamal watches on both Facebook and YouTube, which is impressive. I mean, I'm sure he's not watching on both. Maybe he's
multiple monitor setups, or like one going in the kitchen, one down in the den, just making sure that everyone's got it.
Hey, teacher guy.
So thank you all for joining us this evening as we cover the latest in Star Trek news and Star Trek Online, of course. Skiffy's out tonight, but Tony and Kat are still here, and so we'll be reviewing the news. Why don't we jump in, shall we?
Okay.
Kat, do you want to do the cold open?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna hit the big red button for intro. Oh, guys, don't forget. Hit that share button. Tell everybody that they can get their weekly roundup of Star Trek news right here, right now. Hit that share and that like button, of course, on Twitter, on Facebook as well, and on Twitter. So like and share that we're live right now. All right, I'm going to hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah, intro sync 1.
This is Kat, intro sync 2.
This is Tony, intro sync 3.
Oh, you see, I was waiting for skipping. Intro in 3, 2.
This week on Priority 1, we check out comicbook.com's interview with Jonathan Frakes, STLV's 2020 future, how the Saint might save Kirk, and quarantine pastimes. In Star Trek gaming, HeroCollector opens Star Trek Online ships for pre-order, and La Sirena flies. Then we open hailing frequencies for your incoming messages.
Hello, Captains. You're listening to episode 458 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, your weekly recap and review of all the major news happening in the Star Trek multiverse. This episode was recorded live on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020, and available for download or streaming on Friday, May 1st at PriorityOnePodcast.com. I'm Elijah.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Tony. And we don't have an audio booth or a chief engineer. Got it. Before we jump into the news, we want to invite you to join in the weekly conversations, whether on social media platforms like Facebook.com/Priority One Podcast, on Twitter or Instagram @Priority One Pod, or by email to incoming@PriorityOnePodcast.com.
Captains, as you know, this podcast is a volunteer endeavor. None of us get paid to write the show, edit the show, produce the show, or be a part of the show. Everybody involved are fans of the Star Trek multiverse, and we like the idea of us carving our own little corner in the Star Trek mythos as a podcast. Unfortunately, doing that isn't free, and we have operating costs like purchasing the software needed to edit the show, host the show, and distribute, of course. So we ask you to consider visiting us over at patreon.com, where we offer special perks for your patronage, starting at just $1. And for an extra show, unscripted, unedited, and usually quite colorful, we have After Hours. So check that out at our $10 a month level. And of course, we thank you and our patrons for your ongoing support of Priority One.
Now let's check out the latest news from the Star Trek multiverse.
Okay, everybody hit stop.
Tony, you've been accused of being an imposter.
It's Mirror Universe Tony. That's all there is. I mean,
It is Mirror Month with the Armada, so that makes sense.
if I start now, I might be able to get the goatee back for being Prime Universe Tony again in a week.
Hello to Peter Archibald and to Captain Growler, USS Growler. Isn't that Ed? Is that you, Ed? Who's Growler? Aren't you guys part of the Growler in New York City? I'm confused now. If you're still watching, Tracy, bye. Have a good night.
Oh, that's nice. Tracy.
Yeah, she's awesome. Don't forget, guys, we are just starting the show, so be sure to hit that like button and that share button on social media. You know, everybody's home right now. Why not watch a podcast be made? Talk about Star Trek. Hello, Johnny. Thank you, guys. Actually, I do want to give a shout out to a couple of people that I gotta try to find it though. Like there are several of you that are really good, and I want to give I've been meaning to give a shout out to you on the live show for because I get notifications, of course, when things are shared. So let me pull that up. Shout out to Wayne, to John Reynolds, Kelly Bennett, Sean Baker. Let's see. Usually
I
our live
recognize
shows.
some of those names.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know I'm missing one person. Jonathan, I know, definitely shares quite often. Yeah. Marvin, Leonard Lake shared our page. Jimmy Urshwood, Ramona Simon. Cool. So thank you, everybody. All right, ready for Check It Out?
So I changed the order of the stories because you didn't call an article, so you get the comic book one. So Kat will read that one first, because then you can lead the discussion about comic books.
Oh,
because
okay,
you didn't
sure.
call an article.
Fair enough.
Oh wait,
Okay.
I can't read. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna do the same thing. Never mind. Here, I'm gonna read the STLV thing, then you get the same thing. There, all better.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah. Check it out. Sync 1.
This is Kat. Check it out. Sync 2.
This is Tony. Check it out. Sync 3.
Check it out in 3, 2.
These are trying times. It's easy to feel lost and confused, empty. But stay strong. This won't last forever. Star Trek will return. To help ease our no new Star Trek blues, comicbook.com's Jamie Levitt delivered a video interview with the iconic Jonathan Frakes. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Star Trek Discovery or Picard, go watch them. We'll wait. Okay, good. Frakes and Levitt discussed the state of Star Trek and the tonal shift Discovery will be experiencing in Season 3. Quote, "At the end of Season 2, we flash-forwarded, I think, 930 years. Michael Burnham has found a new core, not to mention a new partner in crime. So again, there's a big tonal shift on that show, less driven by the pain and guilt of her... there's a big tonal shift on that show, less driven by the pain and guilt of her past and more about the magical reunification of the Discovery crew and wherever she went off to. So those two things coming back together is very much the theme and how grateful everyone is and what's next. It's got a lot of action-adventure and not so much pain." End quote. Frakes also talked about getting back in the center seat in Picard's Season 1 finale, Et in Arcadia Ego Part 2. Quote, "That was really a different experience because I was alone. I was self-directing. I was in a captain's chair. I had a spacesuit on. I had my beard trimmed, my Riker hair put back on, my bald spots covered up. It felt very familiar, and it was like a flashback. Because of how well Nepenthe went, I was less nervous and, I got to say, thrilled to have been asked back, to be perfectly frank." End quote. For a link to the video interview, which covers Frakes' thoughts on the Marvel Universe, Michael Chabon, and La Sirena, check out our show notes.
I mean, one of the best moments of Season 1 of Picard was seeing Riker take the captain's chair. And although it was definitely a redress of the Discovery bridge, it was still pretty cool. And although they copy-pasted the fleet over and over in VFX, it was still cool. I am interested to see how they treat Season 3 of Discovery. Are we going to finally see Discovery and the show itself find its footing and find its place in what it wants and find its place in the stories it wants to tell and how it wants to tell them?
Traditionally, it's time. It's Season 3. This is where Star Treks usually find their path.
Yeah,
so.
but
it's good. I mean, they jump out way ahead in the future. They've got very few restrictions on what they can do. Canon is because it's 1,000 years in the past.
Future.
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. No. I mean, the canon is 1,000 years in the past, right? I mean, well, maybe 500 years in the past to them, but they're out ahead. Anything, the adventures of Kirk and Spock and Picard and all those guys. That's like, stories of Christopher Columbus are to us.
Right.
So it's all the things lost to history and legends and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think they'll probably do a little better not working within those constraints anymore.
Agreed. I mean,
Right, so
the future is the final frontier, right?
So I should read this next one, Tony?
No, I'll read this one because Kat's going to lead it off.
Okay.
On April 17th, San Diego Comic-Con canceled. Oh, wait. Oh, here. Okay, I got ahead. On April 17th, San Diego Comic-Con announced that its 2020 convention, which was set to kick off on July 23rd and run till July 26th, was canceled. The news shook geekdom, but it was not terribly surprising, and most considered the move responsible. But what of the official Star Trek Las Vegas convention, set to run just 2 weeks after the now canceled SDCC? Surely that would be canceled too, right? Wrong. For now, anyway. In an update posted to their webpage and social media outlets, Creation released in part, quote, "We hope you have been staying safe, healthy. We hope you have been staying safe and healthy during this challenging time. While Creation has been social distancing as a team, we're still working hard to make the upcoming official Star Trek convention a grand celebration of Gene Roddenberry's legacy for a hopeful future. The event is set for August 5th through 9th, 2020, at the Rio All Suites Resort and Casino in fabulous Las Vegas. As something to look forward to this summer, we can't wait to spend another truly intergalactic time in Vegas. Your devoted Trekker friends at Creation Entertainment." End quote. The announcement was met with a wide variety of reactions, with most questioning the motives of the move.
Questioning motives. I'm like, how much did they pay in guarantee money to some people to not cancel? Because that is crazy. They must have a terrible contract.
Well,
When I think of creation, I think of the people that work at the DMV. It's just that's the feeling I get from interacting and dealing with people from creation, is that it's never been pleasant. And it's not just vendors or people like podcasters who have had bad experiences. There are some actors that won't even show up to a creation entertainment event. So I'm not surprised that this tone-deaf email went out to everybody saying, hey, we're still going strong and we're still going to plan ahead, without any form of reassurance to people who purchase tickets that if quarantine procedures are still in effect and social distancing regulations are still in effect, why would you spend? And then on top of that, it was a memo for like the gold and silver weekend. That was golden. And on top of that, it was for like their more expensive packages of the convention, right? That get you dinners and photo ops and things like that. It wasn't even like they were talking about their general admission. So yeah, I'm not surprised at how insensitive the creation handled this memo to everybody.
Far be it from me to be the Pollyanna of the group. Yeah, that I'm much more used to being the cynical one, but I think that probably they are sort of forced to do it this way because the last I heard, Vegas was trying to be open for business. They're going to some of the casinos are going to try to start opening up, and the mayor of Las Vegas was almost offering up her citizens as guinea pigs for how social distancing is going to work. Isn't that fun? The bottom line is that the city and state authorities aren't telling convention centers that you can't have events. And so, as Kat was saying, they probably have a contract with the venue and maybe some vendors that require them to have that event unless disaster strikes. Now, the pandemic is a disaster, but unless the state and local authorities say you have to close that, then they have to honor their contracts. They have to show up there and try to put the show on. I could have sworn I saw something about, it might have been on the Facebook groups, like the Las Vegas local group there for Star Trek fans, or maybe it was the unofficial convention Facebook group. But something about them waiting for it to be declared an act of God. Yes. This is where you get to have fun talk with lawyers now. The force majeure clause. This is
just like, oh man.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, give me another drink is what the Cat say. So
like, let me read this deal. Do you think it include? I mean, force majeure can take all kinds of. You can be very specific, or you could just lump it all into acts of God, or those acts that were, unforeseeable in some way.
Right, and that's the key right there, is that unforeseeable versus unforeseen, right? The force majeure clause is I think literally translates to great force or act of God, something that two groups just doing their thing couldn't possibly have anticipated this weird turn of events. The argument being, well, we've had earlier pandemics. Pandemics are bad for tourism and for conventions. You should have allocated the risk to one party or another, that if there's a pandemic, somebody's eating the cancellation costs. I mean, that should have been allocated to somebody. And so unless your force majeure clause specifically says pandemics, one party's going to say, come on, everyone knows pandemics happen. You should have written pandemics in the force majeure clause if you thought that counted. The other party's going to be like, come on, they shut down everything and China's bad and all this stuff. So but the trigger has to be that somebody has to say, this is so bad you can't have a convention. And unless there's a declaration of the state and local government, probably doesn't count. So buy your tickets, everyone. Come on now.
I mean,
buy your airfare. Come on, everyone.
So I did purchase my airfare to go to Vegas. I have not purchased a ticket yet, and I don't know what I don't know yet what.
But what else did you buy along with your airplane ticket?
Yeah, I bought a third-party insurance coverage for an additional $70-something, which still doesn't guarantee that I'll get. I mean, I definitely won't get everything back from the airline, but I would get something back. Even the third-party insurance was like, oh, due to COVID-19, blah 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 blah, you're not going to get everything back. So, I think it's more than just for convention attendees. For those of us that are not lawyers and just fans of Star Trek, those of us flying from out of the country or from across the country or from around the world, the fact that they have not closed with so much ambiguity, puts a lot of strain on people, especially people who are traveling. I get it for Vegas. People could attend locally or go, make the 3-hour drive from LA or whatever. But I would assume the same thing was discussed for San Diego Comic-Con. It's not just about the local impact that it's going to have or not have on the economy, but you've got people traveling who have to make travel plans. People that come from Australia, from Ireland, from other parts of the UK and Europe and Asia. It's just. It boggles my mind that they're not taking some form of responsibility in either closing and canceling the convention. The
California authorities have been better about this, and that's why.
I'm like, I think the difference is it's California versus Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
Where Vegas is like, the party must go on no matter what.
That's all they got going for them, parties. And so that's why they want to reopen these things. That's why whatever they're going to do. And remember, it's, the creation people are the out-of-towners, right? I mean, they're the ones that hired the local hotel, the Rio, to put this on. And so the state and county and city governments are going to support their local industries, which are casinos and conventions. So they're not going to make it easier for, these big shot out-of-town people that fly in once a year or whatever to have a convention. They're not going to make it easier for them to get out of those contracts. So it is unfortunate that they haven't found a good way to communicate that to their customers. Creation hasn't found a good way to communicate that to their customers, but that's something I think we need to understand and read between the lines. They're not doing it because they think it's a great idea for everybody to go to Las Vegas in August. They're doing it because they have to.
Right. Kat, would you?
Sure. Well, that brings us to our first community question. Will you be purchasing tickets for Star Trek Las Vegas 2020? Let us know in the comment section on our website Let us know in the comment section on our website or by replying to our community question post on our social media pages like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
It's been a while since we've discussed a possible Star Trek movie, and this story might be a reach, but it's worth mentioning. On April 21st, Variety broke the story that Variety broke the story that Chris Pine, JJ's Captain Kirk, was in negotiations to star in Paramount's reboot of The Saint. Now, The Saint is a 1920s book series written by Leslie Charteris.
Chattari? I do not know.
Chattari. Okay. The Saint is a 1920s book series written by Leslie Chattari. Am I saying that wrong?
I have no idea how to pronounce that guy's name.
Chateris? I don't know.
Okay, Wikipedia the rescue here. All right, here we go. Leslie Charteris. Born in British Chinese. That does not help me. It was French that might have helped.
None of their pronounce. Copy. How to pronounce.
It doesn't help that it's a pen name because his actual name is Leslie Charles Bowyer Yin. His father was Chinese, his mother was English. So Charteris. There's a LeslieCharteris.com, which also I'm saying it
I like
Charteris.
Charter. I like it.
He's definitely French.
But he's British. Don't let Lennon hear you say this. Well, you pronounce it how you like.
I'm trying to watch a video where they interview him.
Oh,
It's in French.
okay. It's in French. It's probably Mandarin because he's from China.
That I can hardly talk about it. It's only a
Well, you went to China, so you probably know what Mandarin sounds like.
What?
You ate crickets or ants or something in China.
I don't know.
I'm trying to make good radio while you're watching a
sorry,
YouTube video.
sorry,
This is
sorry,
not
sorry,
easy
sorry.
to do. I mean,
Sorry,
it's,
guys. I got a horrible tension
it's-
headache.
because you're trying to figure out how to pronounce Charteris.
Leslie Charteris.
Charteris. Okay.
Charteris. Good enough. There you go.
Let me take that from the top here. Sorry, audio editor. It's been a while since we've discussed a possible Star Trek movie, and this story might be a reach, but it is worth mentioning. On April 21st, Variety broke the story that Chris Pine, JJ's Captain Kirk on the Kelvin timeline, was in negotiations to star in Paramount's reboot of The Saint. The Saint is a 1920s book series written by Leslie Charteris, featuring a Robin Hood-esque hero named Simon Templar. But the books and their screen adaptations starring Roger Moore and Val Kilmer aren't the real story here. This is, quote, Paramount and Pine.
Hang on. You should say, this is. Right.
I don't get it.
That's not the real story here. This is,
Oh,
quote.
got it. But that's not the real story here. See, this is.
You're going to have to say, aren't the real story here.
Aren't.
Go from both the
Okay,
books.
all
Go
right.
from both the books.
But the books and their screen adaptations starring Roger Moore and Val Kilmer aren't the real story here. This is, quote, Paramount and Pine have had strong ties for many years. Their relationship goes back to 2009 when the studio hired him to play Captain Kirk in the latest Star Trek franchise, launching his career as a leading man in the process. While the fourth Star Trek film is still being developed, the studio saw The Saint as the perfect role for Pine as they wait for that script to be finished. End quote. Does this confirm that Noah Hawley's Trek will star the Kelvin Does this confirm that Noah Hawley's Trek will star the Kelvin cast, or is the reporter speculating? Well, only time will tell.
So I liked The Saint, the 1997 movie with Val Kilmer in it. I mean, I liked that, and it had a lot of potential at the time because it was kind of coming around when Mission Impossible was starting to be a thing. So you got a Mission Impossible franchise going. You got Saint franchise maybe they want to reboot under Paramount. So you got your spy thrillers. You got Star Trek there. So you got Cruise with Mission Impossible. You got Pine maybe with The Saint, and then maybe going back to Star Trek. The problem here is that one of the reasons that Star Trek 4 got canned was that Paramount ran out of money because Pine and the other Chris Hemsworth that was going to star in there, were big stars in tentpole franchises. So, Pine's doing this Wonder Woman thing. Now Paramount's going to put him in maybe another movie that has sequel potential. It is a big mess if you want to make a Star Trek movie with Pine, I think. So, if they want to go big, try to make Star Trek another summer popcorn movie, I think they should maybe not do put Pine in a franchise where there's a potential that they're going to make multiple movies from it, and then make him a big star with a big paycheck again.
Well, I mean, Paramount's tried to revive franchises. I mean, they went through their whole horror creature thing, starting with the remake of The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Ew, that was a
and
thing?
that didn't do well. They really didn't do well
not.
in redoing these franchises. I mean, Paramount kind of has hit or miss with their franchises. Like some of them do really well, and then some of them just bomb or die out, and they don't know how to keep the momentum of a good film.
The thing about the Saint, though, it could be very topical because the whole premise of the Saint is that the main character takes names of saints and changes his identity and goes around being a spy and doing these Robin Hood type things in these different guises. Punching that up for the modern times where you have facial recognition and ubiquitous data networks and drones in the air, that could be a really interesting sort of take or interesting movie to have. And how does a character like the Saint adapt to that modern surveillance state type things? It could be really, really good. That's why I think that they want to do this. But as a studio putting Pine in that situation, you're basically foreclosing the possibility of him being on the next Star Trek, unless they want to go really, really big with the next Star Trek, which they don't, because Beyond didn't make as much money as they thought it would.
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay, we still got 20 minutes out of all that, which is really good.
Are we dropping the binging thing?
I think we should, because
watching
celebrities watch things.
All right. Well, captains, that's all the news we have to Trek out this week. Now let's find out what happened in the world of Star Trek gaming. Everybody hit stop. I think Mike Fadum just tried to school me on Spanish and on Twitter.
No.
I'm gonna have words.
No.
I'm gonna have words.
Por supuesto, señor.
So in the blog, they keep referring to the La Sirena Heavy Raider or something like that.
No,
and that's wrong.
No.
That's
this
wrong.
Is no.
Even because they're his. I'm pretty sure it's got to be Mike. I mean, I don't know who else would be. He goes, "You are correct, except when referring to the class name of the specific ship, which is La Sirena Heavy Raider. Referring to Rio ship, the is redundant, but this actually is the La Sirena class. No, it's a La Sirena class ship. It's not the La Sirena class ship. It's just a La Sirena class ship or La Sirena class starship. It's not the La Sirena. It's Spanish. It's not a make-up language here.
I also think that naming it that the class is a bad idea too. Was Cristobal Rios ship the first one off the line?
No, it was it was the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's the YT 1300. Yeah,
right.
It's the YT 1300. Yeah.
So no, it's still not the La Sirena class. It's just La Sirena class. I'm gonna get myself one of the La Sirena. I'm gonna get myself a La Sirena class Heavy Raider.
You got him all riled up now, people. I don't know who you are, but you got him. He's all wound up now. He's gonna be impossible to control now. It's right off the rest of the show. We're done. Just forget it.
I know. That's it. They just
wait. Here, another blast from the past here. I gotta find some paper. I don't care about anymore. Here we go.
Yes, blast from the past. Wait, I didn't hear it.
Yeah. You didn't hear it?
Yeah.
You didn't hear me tearing off this paper?
No, it's like something is causing. I wonder if it's Zoom. That's.
That's unfortunate.
Like Zoom is automatically stopping the sound, like it's picking it up as a. Oh, that's fine.
That is a damn shame. I wasn't recording Audacity either. I guess I'll have to find some other paper later and record an audio track for the editors. Just for that. Get some Foley. We'll get some Foley for him. All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do STO News. It's not covering the typing. That's though.
I looked at that link you sent us on Discord the other day about the NVIDIA graphics card update that will.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We got ran a leaf blower or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I didn't do that yet, but I will.
You can give it a shot because it was so good that I'm pretty sure if your dogs bark, for instance, it'll block it. It'll just stop it.
Wow.
All right.
That's kind of insane.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the big red button for STO News in 3, 2, 1, This is Elijah, STO News Sync 1.
This is Kat, STO News, Sync 2.
This is Tony, STO News, Sync 3.
STO News in 3. Oh, who's doing you? Kat.
Happening.
Okay. Got it.
Well, obviously Elijah needs to read the next one.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. All right. This is Elijah, STO News Sync 1. I don't remember.
Oh, we did that part.
Oh, we did already? Okay. So, STO News in 3, 2.
If you've been staying up to date on Star Trek merchandise and STO News this year, you'll know that HeroCollector has announced 7 Star Trek Online models joining their Eaglemoss collection. This week, HeroCollector and Cryptic Studios officially announced pre-ordering... This week, HeroCollector and Cryptic Studios officially announced pre-ordering for the first 2 ships in the collection. The Gagarin Miracle Worker Battlecruiser and the Chimera Heavy Destroyer can be pre-ordered now for... The Gagarin Miracle Worker Battlecruiser and the Chimera Heavy Destroyer can be pre-ordered now for $29.95 from eaglemoss.com. The other 5 ships still to come are the Enterprise F, the Andromeda Exploration Cruiser, the Bortescue War Cruiser, the Vastum Tactical Command Warbird, and the Pathfinder Long-Range Science Vessel.
And not the Avenger Battlecruiser. I am disappointed. I am disappointed. That's a. And I think I'd also like to see the Presidio, the command cruiser ones. The 3 models.
Yeah.
Because the Enterprise F and the Presidio ones were 2 of the entries, and the Chimera were entries in the Design the Next Enterprise class. So the Odyssey 1 and those other 2 were kind of runners up. So I really liked them to add that Presidio one as well, so we can get the big popular ones from the Design the Enterprise class that eventually made it into the game.
Yeah, but that Vastum Tactical Command Warbird is awesome looking. I love that ship.
Well, also, don't forget, Tony, our friends over at GamePrint can actually print you a customizable starship like an Avenger class in beautiful 3D printed scale. I mean,
and they come in a variety of sizes too, don't they, Elijah?
That they do, bigger than the die-cast models. And
so
you can
I could get a
4-inch
one
if you wanted to. Yes,
or I could get like a 10-inch one
or a 10-inch one, and you can.
And I could have it hand painted.
Or hand painted, and you can put your name on it and your registry. So you should check it out, Tony. GamePrint.net.
Well, thanks, Elijah. I appreciate that tip.
Speaking of ships, if you've been eagerly waiting for some of the ships seen in Star Trek Picard to make an appearance in Star Trek Online, well, the latest news from Cryptic should excite you. On Tuesday, March 28th, Ambassador Kell posted a blog post announcing the release of the Tier 6...
Well, it's April 28th, which is today. I mean...
On Tuesday, April 28th, Ambassador Kell posted a blog announcing the release of a Tier 6 La Sirena Heavy Raider. The ship reproduces in great detail Captain Cristobal Rios' La Sirena, as seen in Star Trek Picard. However, Cryptic lead artist Thomas Maroney pointed out in a tweet that, quote, the Star Trek Online version is not the exact type of ship as the original La Sirena. It's significantly bigger, about 30 to 40 meters longer, so that it can be considered a capital ship in Star Trek Online. You'll notice we scaled the window down to illustrate this, end quote. Now, there are a number of interesting points to the stats and capabilities of this new ship. For starters, the ship has only 4 bridge officer seats, but 2 of these are commander seats. Now, being it's a heavy raider, the ship has only 5 forward weapon slots and only 1 aft weapon, but also comes with an experimental weapon slot and improved raider flanking. You can also use pilot maneuvers on this ship. Now, it's interesting to note that while the bridge officer layout of the ship appears limited, it seems the ship's new universal console and starship trait are designed to greatly improve bridge officer ability cooldowns. To see the full stats, check out the blog in our show notes, of course. La Sirena will be... Now, how do you get your hands on the new ship? Well, it's going to join the ever-growing Tier 6 Promotional Ship Choice Pack, and as such is only available through the Promotional Research and Development Duty Officer packs. You can also purchase the ship on the in-game exchange, though such promotional ships typically run up to... Though these ships usually go on the exchange for close to 1 billion EC, especially when they first launch.
So it's La Sirena, not the La Sirena?
It is not the La Sirena.
Okay. Just check.
It is
I just wanted to make
simply La Sirena.
And it's a big one, so it's La Grande Sirena?
La Grande Sirena.
Or La Sirena Grande?
La Sirena Grande, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I want to make sure I got my grammar right.
It would be La Sirena Grande or La Grande Sirena. La Gran Serena. La Gran Serena. Yeah.
La Gran Selena?
Yeah, Sirena.
Okay. Just want to make sure we get this right, because I wouldn't want to do it wrong, because that would be a bad thing.
But yes, it is properly pronounced. There's no the la. It cannot happen. It's not just because it's a class of ship doesn't give it the category of the class. It's still Spanish. It's not a made up language. You're saying the Sirena class ship. You just say, I'm going to purchase myself this new class of ship, La Sirena. Or La Sirena class ship. Or a La Sirena class ship, if you want to cheat that way a little bit, but it's not.
Could it be a Sirena?
No, it cannot be.
That can't be a Sirena. I'm going to get a Sirena.
No.
I want that toddler high. Sorry.
Although I'm interested to see how this all works out, though, because they're doing fewer bridge officers, but more higher level ones, which means more powers and more higher level powers, and with the lower cooldowns. I wonder if they're like tweaking this so that you can fire off exactly the same number of abilities in the same time period as ships with the standard 5 officer layouts. Because you're giving up like an ensign slot or maybe a lieutenant slot on this.
Yeah, you're
Maybe.
giving.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of these heavy raider type ships, and even that mastery starship trait. Maintained to regulation. The blog post says, quote, while it is slotted, activating any captain ability will remove 1 debuff effect from you and reduce the remaining recharge time of all bridge officer abilities by a small amount. But what's that amount, right? So we're not going to know that until we actually get our hands on the ship, probably. Yes, anything that reduces the cooldown time for a bridge officer is great, but if it's negligible, then I don't know that I would spend money trying to get my hands on the ship.
I suspect somebody did some fancy spreadsheet math so that when you get that mastery slot, your bridge officer activations per minute wind up smoothing with some of the larger tier 6 ships. I imagine that math is done so that it's that magic happens.
Does it say what the experimental weapon is?
Yes, coordinated hull piercer.
Ooh.
Not
kind of damage
magically
does
make
that...
7 of 9 appear. I think magically make 7 of 9 appear should be the experimental weapon.
Well, all right then.
Well, how about this?
It was like on the show. That's what they did on the show.
That's true. Well, Captains, that brings us to our next community question this week. What are your thoughts on the new La Sirena class starship in Star Trek Online? Is this a ship you hope to get your hands on? If so, tell us why.
I don't want to nitpick, but can you say the new La Sirena class starship? All you do is put new in the middle.
Yes, that's more acceptable because it's the new. It's the new La Sirena.
I don't know. I'm just causing trouble now. That's all I'm doing.
I wouldn't say would you get your hands on new La Sirena.
That's true. the new class. You're the new
ship.
La
Modifies
Sirena.
class.
La Sirena becomes an adjective.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm down. All right. Next weekend, May 7th through May 11th, PC players will have a research and development weekend. During the event, you'll earn 50% more XP from R&D schools, as well as bonuses to R&D materials packs obtained through the C-Store and in-game. Material harvest nodes in ground and space missions will also reward bonus R&D materials, dilithium ore, and possibly an upgrade catalyst.
Ooh.
I got nothing.
You can upgrade all that stuff for your new characters that maybe people have been making during this XP 3-week extravaganza. No? Nobody made
No,
new characters? What?
no.
Well, I didn't either, but... But I know people who did.
They would benefit from this.
Yes.
They should do that. I'm just waiting for the next. I'm waiting for the next upgrade weekend because I got some Omegas saved up.
Yeah, true. That'll be exciting.
Let's move on to
Armada News. Excellent. All right. Well, this week in Armada News, join us this Thursday, like every Thursday, for TFO Thursday, where we team up with other Armada members to earn marks and dilithium. We're also rounding out our... Oh, actually, I'm not going to go there because by the time this airs, it'll be over. We hope you've enjoyed our Mirror Month celebrations in the Armada. We have given away a Tier 5 Mirror Universe ship every day this month, so I hope any Armada members out there were able to win one of those. Also, in Epsilon Fleet, we have one of our last Tier 5 colony upgrades almost ready to go on cooldown. It just needs some ore provisions, so if you are running around the colony on the Fed side, and please donate to Epsilon Fleet, because we'd love to get that upgrade finally on cooldown. That's it this week. Sorry, that's it this week for Armada News.
Sorry, give me that one more time.
That's it this week for Armada News.
In an effort to lend a hand to new players or even surprise the most veteran captains in Star Trek Online, here's our top tip. As we rapidly approach the end of Star Trek Online's Winter in Spring special event, are you struggling to get your hands on enough winter collectibles to claim the 200 Lobby event prize? If so, or you're new to Star Trek Online's winter event, we have this handy-dandy reminder for you. One of the fastest ways to earn the holiday items is through the Duty Officer Assignment System. Just transwarp each of your game characters into the Winter Wonderland and open up the Duty Officer Assignment System. From the current map tab, start all of the assignments available. The assignments vary in duration and amount of collectibles rewarded, but with just a few extra characters on your account chipping away and chipping in, you'll be able to collect holiday items much faster than through event grinding alone. So, happy holidays in April, and grab that 200 Lobby while you can.
And another gaming news, chances are you've heard of digital storefront Humble Bundle, where Humble Bundle typically deals in software bundles. There's a similar storefront called Bundle of Holding that deals in tabletop RPG products. And right now is a great time to check them out because they're offering 14 Star Trek Adventures products from Modiphius Entertainment. By contributing the minimum of $19.95, you'll receive PDF downloads of 7 game source materials, including the core rulebook. If you contribute beyond the $40.58 threshold price, you'll be able to download a lovely family of space salamanders and their offspring. Wait, wrong threshold. What you'll actually get is the Game Master Collection, including the Beta Quadrant Sourcebook, several game scenarios, and the Game Master screen. The whole bundle at retail is priced at $155, so it's a steal. All products are offered completely free of DRM for ease of movement across your various devices. 10% of every contribution to the bundle after fees will be donated to Vision Rescue, a charity chosen by Modiphius Entertainment. To see the details, just follow the link in our show notes.
Now, Tony, didn't you take advantage of this bundle?
We did. We,
That's
as in
true.
Priority One, did, and so we chipped in there a little bit, and we're workshopping it, seeing what we can do, because we did do a Star Trek Adventures one shot many moons ago during our anniversary weekend, So we will we're doing something similar over at Guard Frequency. Maybe something will come out of it. We'll see.
Maybe we'll do a tabletop game.
I'd be down for that. Can we play the Take Beige game?
No, we cannot.
Why not?
Copyright. We'll get a copyright strike.
Oh man.
We're gonna experience beige via the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
I love that game, except for the taking beige that way.
Right. You don't want to take beige from the DMCA. No, you don't want to do that.
Kat, can you sweep us out?
Yes. That's all we've got this week for Star Trek Online and gaming news.
Now let's open hailing frequencies and see what's incoming.
Oh. There's not written.
Sorry.
Now let's open hailing frequencies and see what's incoming.
All right, everybody hit stop.
I hit stop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't
Just wanted
forget to
confirm.
upload your audio files.
Yes.
I forgot last week. Actually, I didn't forget. I started the upload and then closed the window. So I forgot to let it finish. So that's kind of like not forgetting. Apologies to the audio editors. Had to chase me down.
This isn't a Tron-inspired gaming case. It's just blue lights inside. That's whack.
But our RGB is the thing.
I know,
It's
but
the
I don't. You can't call it Tron, and it's just blue lights glowing inside. It's just
Are any of them spinning like a frisbee or a motorcycle wheel?
the fans are obviously, but
Well, there you it's Tron. Done.
stupid.
It's Tron.
Stupid.
Yes, it is.
I'm really thinking about. I'm doing while I'm okay. So I'm doing.
Be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm planning on getting my A+ cert just to have it. You just never. I'm not terribly afraid, but it's just nice to maybe pad the resume while as things are going crazy, and while I have the means to do it, because the certifications aren't free. So I've been doing. I've been going through, just kind of refreshing the A+. I don't want to go into it cold, so I'm just doing the online learnings for it. But it's pretty much all about building a PC, right? And so I'm like, man, I want to build a new PC. 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 Because my desktop's pushing 6 years old now, man.
Back in the day, you and I come from a similar background with the retail thing. I would tell my customers that, I plan to replace every 3 years. If you get 5 years after that, you're on borrowed time.
Yeah, man.
So you're on borrowed time with your rig there.
I am. That i7 4930K is showing its age now.
Showing the age. So an A+ certification. I remember that being a thing back when a long time ago.
It's
That's
like,
still a thing.
It's probably the easiest one to get. It's like the of the CompTIA certifications, it's like the first one anybody ever gets. And I have the work experience to do it, like I have the work experience under my belt where I technically don't need it. Like if they see my resume, it's like, well, why get an A+ now? But I'm just gonna go in order, probably do A+, then Network Plus, and then I do want to do penetration testing that I would like to do.
Crazy.
So, that's what it's called. It's penetration testing.
Where? What? Oh, no. What?
That's what it's called. That's what
It's
it's
only
called.
just
Security certification.
I was only
Gracious sakes.
just paying attention. Sorry.
Gracious sakes alive. Have another glass of wine.
I am. Thanks.
All right, where are we? 6 feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It did sound bad, by the way, Elijah, when you said that. Just take it in
Okay,
isolation.
so
Take it in isolation. It was bad.
My desktop is like 6 years old at least now too. What types of things are you supposed to upgrade?
Well,
For a
where do we start?
6-year-old machine, everything.
Yeah.
Like I even thought about maybe just getting a different upgrading my processor, but the LGA 2011s didn't. That socket type didn't support
You're
many.
at the top. Yeah.
So I can't even upgrade the processor because there are no LGA 2011s anymore.
Well, there are, but there's no point. I mean,
No,
the rest of the architecture on the board is outdated.
Right.
So, Kat, we're gonna get you into like a Ryzen 5. You're gonna need 16.
Nah,
gigs
man.
of RAM
If I
probably.
build, I'm gonna get a Threadripper. I'm gonna get me a
sound
Threadripper.
like- Are you doing multi-core?
Is that a sewing machine?
It is. It helps with penetration testing because it's a Threadripper. It helps with that.
And Intel's my understanding
All
is
this
that
sounds super naughty. I don't know what
It does.
you're talking about.
But it's all Elijah's fault. He started talking about penetrations and Threadrippers.
I want a bodice ripper. That's what I want.
Well, see, that. I'm sure Intel's working on that because they can't let AMD just have the Threadrippers. They're like, no, we got to got something. What do we got? What do we got, Jones? What do we got in our stable? We got to compete with the Threadripper. I don't know, sir. Yeah. So
Man.
stick around. Now we have an after hours topic. We're going to upgrade Kat's computer.
Apparently.
That's
All
our
right.
after hours topic. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to hit the big red button for feedback in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah feedback sync 1.
This is Cat Feedback Sync 2.
This is Tony feedback sync 3.
Feedback in 3, 2. Well, captains, hailing frequencies are now open, and we're ready to receive all of your incoming messages.
This week, our community question was, would you want Rosario Dawson to play Q? What other roles would Dawson be great in?
From PriorityOnePodcast.com, Tyler Maxwell says, I suppose she could play a Q, but maybe not the Q. Maybe she could play La Q. Huh?
She could play
Because that's
the
just
La
too
Q.
iconic. Yeah, the La Q. She needs to be La Q. Because that's just too iconic of a performance to cast aside or try to emulate. And playing a new Q would just end up with questions from rabid Trekkies like, why couldn't we get our Q back instead of having this new one satisfying nobody? I'm sure she'd be great for just about any other role that the Trek writers could come up with her. I'm sure that she'd be great for just about any other role that the Trek writers could come up for her, though.
On Twitter, Ken from Chicago writes in, yes, 1,000 times yes. What you got? Hashtag all the roles. More importantly, who's going to say no to Rosario Dawson?
Good point. From Facebook, Jamal Taylor writes, I suppose she could play a Q, but I'd rather... Wait. I suppose she could play a Q, but I'd rather see her be a Klingon. Kern's daughter, perhaps? She could hook up with Picard's rescue rangers as they go find Worf, and she gets to ask him some super awkward questions about her late father, because uncomfortable Worf is the best Worf.
I like this.
Picard Rescue Rangers, I need that show. I
would so watch that. Watch it right now.
Fenris Rangers, Picard's Rescue Rangers, yes, absolutely.
7 of 9, Fenris Rangers. 7 of 9, she's in danger.
I dig it. From Twitter, Brandon Parker says, Q, I don't know about that role, but she'd make a great first officer on a starship. Or if her... I'll try that again. Q, I don't know about that role, but she would make a great first officer on a starship. Or if her role in the video game Syndicate is any indication, a good admiral in Starfleet. The consensus is no one wants her to be Q. I don't understand that.
I wouldn't want a Q to make an appearance in any of the new Trek. I think it's just so... I don't know.
It's too Doctor Who, because it's a Q.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. All right, everybody hit stop.
I stopped.
Chip and Dale. Rescue Ranger. Chip and Dale.
They're in danger.
We should
No,
make
it
it.
never fails once they're involved. It seems some get solved.
Are you sure you're not my age?
I have brothers and sisters your age, and so they'd have it on TV, and I'd watch it.
They should bring Olivia Davo. Remember, she played that.
The
Q.
mini Q, yeah, the girl Q.
Right.
I remember that because her parents got killed in Topeka, Kansas, in a tornado.
Yeah.
So, like, right up the street here, a couple hours.
David S., one of our patrons, I posted our conversation last week on our Patreon show After Hours was very heavy, We were talking about the difference
Oh.
between how we're talking about
French
determinism
existentialists.
and existentialist philosophers, determinism versus libertarianism, and how Star Trek has dealt with that when experimenting with stories like the Mirror Universe and the Kelvin timeline and time travel, and are we in control of our own fate, or are we
Free
just cogs in a
will.
wheel? So I think it was a really good discussion last week. Actually, I liked it.
We could have gone on for a long time.
I want to have more of those.
Oh, yeah. I remember that now.
Well, don't worry, we're not doing it this week. This week we're working on your computer.
All right, I'm gonna hit the big red button for closing.
We could bring existentialism into that, I'm sure.
Well, you know,
For that.
the planned obsolescence of your circuit boards and chips. That's right. When they were born, they were already dying, Kat. They were born obsolete. Yeah, it's true.
This is sad.
All right. All right, I'm gonna hit the big red button for closing in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah closing sync 1.
This is Kat closing sync 2.
This is Tony closing sync 3.
Closing in 3, 2. Well, that wraps up episode 458 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. But there are more great shows available to you on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Just visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for a complete list. Then be sure to subscribe to them all. And, of course, share them with your friends.
But we can't forget to send a special thanks to some of our Patreon supporters like Diana Gunther, Darnell Dwayne Ross, David K. Rutley, Joshua Selig, and Peter Archibald.
And here's a reminder of our community questions this week. Will you be purchasing tickets for Star Trek Las Vegas 2020? And are you looking forward to La Sirena being released in Star Trek Online? Will you be purchasing the ship?
Captains, it's important that you get your voice heard and that you participate in the conversation. Leave us a comment on our website at PriorityOnePodcast.com, on our Facebook page at Facebook.com/PriorityOnePodcast, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at PriorityOnePod.
And if you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, me, and the rest of the Priority One Armada. Saturday nights, the Armada broadcasts live to review the latest news from Star Trek Online and the Armada community, including spotlighting some of our amazing members. With regular giveaways, there's something for all Star Trek Online players, whether you're new or a veteran. Oh my gosh, I have a whistle.
I heard that.
Follow us on all our social media accounts for broadcast times, and if you'd like to join the Armada, visit PriorityOneArmada.com.
This episode of Priority One is brought to you by our patrons through Patreon.com. Find out more and add your support at Patreon.com/Priority One. Even if you cannot make a financial contribution, there's another way that you can support this show, and that's by spreading the word about it. Invite your fellow Trekkies to get their weekly roundup of Star Trek news right here. It's your support that keeps us going.
And don't forget to tune into Priority One Productions' Guard Frequency podcast at guardfrequency.com. Each episode, the Guard will take you inside the universe of your favorite space sims, including a tabletop adventure played out by your hosts. And Heroes Rise brings you up to date with the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Learn all about the latest publications, tools, tips, tricks, and traps in less time than it takes to skin a wyvern. Head over to Heroes Rise podcast to discover their secrets.
Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, William, Rand.
Rand.
Did I? What did I?
Rand and Dan. Rand and Dan.
That was weird. I don't know why that never. Did I slip? What did I say?
You forgot the done. You just did Brand.
Oh, I said Brand.
Rand and Dan. We're gonna fire Gray, William, Roscoe, and Skiffy. And we're just gonna have Rand and Dan. Rand and Dan. Gonna have the show. On down, Rand and Dan.
Oh, that's good.
This is my brother Daryl.
Yeah, the brother Daryl.
Oh, that was funny. I didn't even like it. Didn't even.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks to our audio editors, including. Oh, shit. Here we go. Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray. Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, William, Brandon, Rand, Daniel, Roscoe, and Skiffy. Thanks to our producer...
You're still funny. You got through it.
It is. I know. Thanks... Thanks to our producer, Jake Morgan, and associate producer, Shane Hoover, for helping us organize and write up our summary of the weekly headlines from the Star Trek multiverse. Thanks to our graphic artist, Henry Pomper, with support from Jason Smith of the Priority 1 Armada. Thanks to the composer of our theme music, Chris Watts. But most importantly, a big thanks to Bran, Ran, and Dan.
They'll fix your cars.
They'll fix your cars. Got a busted carburetor? Call Brad Red and Dan. Most importantly, a big thanks to you, the Star Trek community, our listeners, because without your ongoing support, none of this would be possible. Brandon, you better pull that blooper out, man. That was good. That was a good one. All right, everybody hit stop. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us on this Tuesday evening for another episode of Priority 1 Podcast. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And until then, say goodnight, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
La
Aboard La Sirena.
Command codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.